Great to be back in game week. It's LSU week. A couple of quick housekeeping items. I'd like to thank Adam Sparks for the piece on Turner's Heroes. I think people had a chance to read it. If you haven't read it, take a look at it. Man, it's a great piece. Obviously, this weekend, we're going to be wearing our battle-ready uniforms, and the helmet in this game is a tribute along with the uniform, but the helmet is a tribute to Turner Cockrell, the 82 rivets. His number was 82, and I think, for our guys, there's a lot of meaning in this. Noel and Randy, wish you well, hope you're doing well. I know you'll be here, you're always with us, and we understand that. And also, on Sunday, our women's soccer team, they're playing elite ball right now, and they line up versus Tennessee. And we want to pack the Plex on Sunday at 4 p.m. Then would like for Commodore Nation to come out and watch those ladies play. They're a good team. On to us again. It's LSU. It's game week. We've come off a bye week. This group right now is focused. They understand what we left at Purdue. And there's always in that lag time when you have a bye week where you have to sit on something, for a while. And I believe for us, that time is, gone and past. And you get a chance to look at what you did, and you fix what you do, you get back to work. This group has to be process driven, not outcome driven. And if the process is right, the outcome will be what you need it to be. So, and that's what we focused on. Had a couple of injuries, and right now, that are season ending for a couple of our guys. Jamari Wakefield had a leg injury, and he's done for the year. Amir Rahman, and he's done for the year. And a tough injury for him. And Colin Anderson, had a knee injury, so and he's done for the year. So, we've got 3 guys on our roster right now who are done for the year. This has been an injury riddle season for us. Maybe to start the way he started up front, and has worked its way, down to a couple of guys, but that's college football. And those guys are healing well. We hope to get those guys back next year, but right now it's full steam ahead. This football team is focused, and they understand, and they got a really good team in LSU coming in here. And you look at Coach O, respect and Coach O tremendously, him and his staff. Coach Aranda, I've known Dave Aranda for a long time. And obviously, I know Joe Burrow, personal relationship with Joe when Joe was a youngster. I coached with his father, Jimmy Burrow at Ohio University. And, Joey's the same young man, focused, poised, extremely confident, athletic, and a leader. He's always been that way. So, kudos to, Jimmy and Robin, for raising a young man, and a young man for standing on his own 2 feet, and making good decisions, because right now he's one of the hottest quarterbacks in the country. So, we know we got our work cut out for us. This football team, has to do its job, and we got to worry about us. And, in the process, we'll wind up playing LSU and try to play good ball. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
Derek, a lot has been made of how different LSU's offense is now, throwing the ball. How different do you see it as what we've known of them in the past?
It's different. It's different. We don't play LSU often. So, the reality is, we don't see them every year, but, based on, off-season scouting to where we are today, we had a chance to see some of it, in the spring game. But, it's a different team, all the way around. Joey Burrow is obviously the ringmaster, and he's leading that attack, and, he's got weapons, as LSU has always had weapons, all the way around, receivers, running backs, tight ends. But I think for him, he's done a really good job when you look at the numbers, over his last, 3 games of being decisive. And his footwork truly reminds you of Drew Brees. It's the same system, and they upgraded their staff a little bit offensively, went and got a coach or an analyst, from New Orleans, who's been able to, and help them, work through the process of, installing that offense. And when you look at it, and I got to give, Coach Ogeron a lot of credit. He took it on, and they've been able to run with it. And what you see is offensive efficiency, probably like LSU, hasn't seen for, in the last, 10 or 12 years. So, kudos to those guys and down there for figuring out who they are, what they have, and what to do.
what did you see on film out of them defensively?
You know what? They're fast. LSU's always fast and athletic. They got speed, like in the secondary. You know, when you look at them up front, and they're big up front, much like Georgia was. And when you look at their linebacking core, they can run sideline to sideline. But that's been typical, you know, LSU for years and years and years. So, but that's nothing new. It's a David Randall defense. It's an LSU defense that's built on, you know, and getting you off the field. And now they have an offense to match, you know, with what they do. And when you look at Coach Mack on special teams, then they're always going to be dangerous.
Two-part question.
Yes.
What do you guys do to get a pass rush? And B, is that the right approach with him, or are you better off letting him sit back without a rush? How do you handle him as good as he's been, Burrow?
You know, you look at it, and you know, he's efficient with the ball. I mean, he knows how to beat the rush. He's big enough, you know, to stand in the pocket. I do believe in that you got to play football. I mean, you can't, you know, let him sit back there all day. But by the same token, you can't sit there and pressure him all day. I mean, I don't think it's one thing. I think it's got to be a mix of, you know, what you do. Obviously, I mean, you got to find a way, you know, to slow down, you know, in their pass game, and they do a great job of finding the middle of the field. And when they can, then when you try to shut down the middle of the field, they got guys outside that can isolate. So, you know, this is one of those games where, you know, you got to play smart, and you got to play tight in terms of, you know, coverage, and try to close windows as best you can. And with that, you know, I mean, pass rush and coverage have to work together. You know, you've got to. You know, LSU's going to take some shots, and you know, unfortunately, when you look at the film, their shots have been wide open. I mean, and they've got guys after the catch that can make you miss and go the distance. So the idea is, you know, when the ball's in the air, let's attack it. Let's make sure we populate. It's got to be, you know, good angles to the football, and we got to be able to play the ball in the air. I mean, like too many times, you know, we've seen, you know, like in the last, you know, a couple of ball games where we had opportunities with the ball in the air, and you know, we haven't played it the way we need to.
Is there a reasonable chance we could see Cochran suited up this week?
We hope. You know, it's always a sprint to Saturday. You know, for us, he's been working, and he looked better last week, and took some reps today. You know, I mean, I like where he's at, but you know what? It'll be a game time decision. So we'll figure this out, and we'll make sure we continue to look at our roster and make sure we put the best guys on the field.
Does your preparation change with an extra week to prepare for an opponent like LSU?
Well, you know, I mean, looking at that part of it, the preparation part of it, we had to fix some things ourselves. You know, in that, I think you have to address yourself, and then you start to address your opponent. And you know, you can start to dive into, you know, in the film on LSU, but the reality is, man, it starts to take guys out of their regular game week focus. And we told those guys to watch the game on Saturday, and we had mentioned and ran through some things on special teams that we needed to run through last week, but the focus was really on us and just making sure that we can develop our chemistry. Because as you know, man, we had to rotate and play a lot of players. So when you rotate and play a lot of players, the biggest thing that you're lacking is chemistry. So I mean, it was more about us, our chemistry, trying to make sure we can get our mojo and trying to get ourselves back on track for what we needed to do this week in terms of a regular game week schedule.
From those first two games, when you look back, what do you like the most, and what concerned you the most from those two?
Effort hasn't been a problem for this team. Truly. I mean, I think, you know, it's tackled well at times, you know, meant for the most part. So I think that was an issue last year. But, I mean, we're chasing some new issues, you know, in this year. Obviously, you know, the discipline, you know, 23 penalties, 11 of the 23 penalties in the first 2 weeks were, you know, pre and post snap. Okay, and that's a problem. I mean, we're leading the conference right now in penalties. That's not what I call intelligent. When you start talking about relentless, tough, and intelligent, it starts with the idea of don't beat yourself. And so that's what we've done. And you look how those penalties have manifested itself in, you know, in the last ball game. You know, we had 3 penalties on one drive where we were going in to score. Okay, and that set us back. And then you look at, you know, and 2 interceptions, you know, nullified because of offsides penalties on defense. It's just bad football. You know, so for us, you know, I mean, the focus and discipline piece, you know, has to be, you know, up front and center for what we do.
In game 1 versus Georgia, you guys struggled in the passing game, but seemed to get back on track against Purdue.
Yeah.
With the week to prepare on this bye week, how are you guys looking to get the passing game firing on all cylinders against LSU?
It's chemistry and timing. You know, with Riley having a new group of guys, you know, a makeshift offensive line, and then, you know, and the idea of making sure that you got the same rotational players in, you know, and consistently. That's been part of it. You know, it's just taking us a little longer to get the chemistry. And I think, sometimes offenses, got to catch up to the defense. I think in this case, man, both groups got to do, a lot of work. And there's a lot of football left. I mean, I'm excited for this group. And what we got to do is, put our foot down now. Man, we got to draw a line in the dirt. We got to play better football. That's what's expected. I know Riley, has shown some growth over the last week. Just watching his preparation and what it looked like. And he knows now that it takes a little more to play in the SEC. Okay, it's a daunting task every week to face defenses in this conference because they're all good. Okay, and the game's a little faster, so I think he had to adjust from playing at Ball State to playing here. Okay, not in terms of the pass rush, but I think the idea of how fast you got to go through your reads. Okay, and how fast that internal clock has to measure up, and everybody else has had to speed up their process too. Okay, because we've had to change from game 1 to game 2 what our offensive chemistry look like in terms of how we protect. What are we going to do? What's the game plan here? Can we get it down the field? Does the play action help us? All those things just take time. So we're working at it. Still a work in progress, but I like what I see.
On Turner's Heroes, it's one thing for a coach to support a cause like that, to promote it.
Yeah.
You and your foundation are actually putting up a pretty good chunk of money.
Yeah.
What was that conversation like between you and Leanne, and why did y'all choose to go that route?
There was no conversation, about it. I mean, we both knew. I mean, if it was left to me right now, I would have just went ahead and endowed a scholarship, like in his name, because that's how much he meant to me and my wife, like in this program. I think, every young man that comes into your program, you know and understand that they're part of your family. For us, we grew close when with the Cockles. I mean, it was a long fight. It was a strong fight, and that was the least that we could do. In jump starting, helping Cody, Noel, and Randy jumpstart this foundation, because I truly believe, man, it's going to change lives.
2 or 3 more questions. Playing 2 top 5 teams in the first 3 games.
Yeah.
Does that help you guys in the long run when everything's said and done?
I love it. I truly do. I mean, I like the way I feel right now. Really. I mean, you don't enjoy starting 0-2 and like having number 4 or 5 come into your house. But the reality is, that's the draw. And when you have the draw, what you got to do, man, is line up and play football. I got a question last night at the radio show. How do you feel about the idea of what you're going to take out of a moral victory? And let me tell you, man, I coach to win. These guys got to play to win. Man, I'm not going to prepare to look at, like the end of a ball game and say, "Whew, man, I'm glad, I felt good about, playing a certain way, but not coming away with a win." That's not what this game's about. Now, as a coach, man, you got to step back and you make sure, man, that you don't overreact to anything that you see, man. But I understand, man, that right now, I mean, this game is critical to us. I know it's critical to LSU, man, but it's critical to us too. We feel like, man, we need to play our best ball. We need it now, and that's what we're planning to do on Saturday. So let's play our best.
Now that you've had a couple of weeks to see what your team is, go through fall camp, penalties and stuff aside, what do you think your identity is on each side of the football?
You know what? I still don't know defensively. I mean, obviously, man, but I thought that group made some gains versus Georgia. Man, I thought they played hard. I thought they played well in the second half. But when you look at giving up 21 points in the fourth quarter against Purdue after holding them to 21, and you know what? That's not what you want. So I mean, you don't blow it up, man. You just look at how do you tweak it? How do you do it better? How do you play top down? Okay, man. How do you take advantage of opportunities? How do you not give teams extra downs? Now, offensively, I saw some things that gave me some assurances on the offensive side of the ball. I know we got weapons. Okay, when you look at Chris Pierce, when you look at what happened with Cam, when you look at when Kalijah, Pink, we've got guys. It's the chemistry. We got to get Keyshawn going. Okay, man, we know that, but the idea too is that it's the balance between run and pass. Okay, man, he's got to be a guy, man, that gets his touches, but by the same token, continues to be a factor, whether it's run or pass. And like I said, as the line gets better, offensively we'll get better. It's just about a process. So we're not gonna, step off the process. We're gonna put our foot on the gas.
One more question. Coach, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
you.
Thank you all.